Welcome into the Farmers Union pregame show. As always, I'm Kenoda. Noah Grant is alongside. And Noah, Toros come out of the Christmas break in pretty good shape.
Yeah, certainly do. An opponent that, as you kind of alluded to, potentially you didn't want to overlook them before the holiday break. Well, newsflash, they didn't. Realistically, if you want to be technical about it, the Toros technically scored every goal on the weekend, including the one that ended up in the back of their own net. So a very good showing against North Iowa. We hope to see that sort of performance, but yeah, pretty much every record that could be broken, good or bad on either side, it was pretty much broken on that Saturday game against North Iowa. You head into the holiday break feeling good, but yeah, when you're averaging close to 70 shots on a given night, that'll do.
Yeah, I mean, what really stuck with me over the break, not the 9-1 final on Saturday or the 66 shots on goal as a team, it was the fact that the Toros only allowed 32 shots on the weekend, 17 of them in Saturday's game. Trevor Stahoyak had 13 shots on goal himself on Saturday. So North Iowa barely outshot Trevor.
And Trevor did pretty good in his own right.
So just a dominant weekend heading into the break, and now hopefully between what was an easy opponent before the break and now the layoff, hopefully the Toros are ready to go against a very good Bismarck team.
Yeah, and we'll allude to Trevor Stahoyak a little bit, but he did very good in terms of earning the franchise record in terms of career assists and inching ever closer to another mark that potentially could be inching up here considering his level of play recently.
Yeah, but as we talked about, Bismarck the opponent this weekend, 3 games in 3 nights coming out of the break. It starts here tonight. Toros 7 points ahead of the Bobcats, who are in second place. That means the Toros could, before New Year hits, put themselves 13 points ahead of the rest of the division. Of course, the other way, if you don't play well, Bismarck could be just 1 point back.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously a very important weekend. At minimum, I would say you would like to take 1 out of 3 in regulation, if not better, just to keep yourself in kind of a safe distance. But it's important to continue to be productive in terms of your ability to stay pat in the division. You've worked so hard to put yourself in that position, and now all of a sudden, you don't want to relinquish that with a tough weekend coming out of a holiday break where we wondered how 2 weeks off was going to affect the Toros early in the season. It clearly went well. You'd like to repeat that process because historically, and we use that term a lot, the Toros have usually swooned a little bit to start the second half. Is this year going to be different, or will we see more of the same?
Bismarck's also been hot as well. They've got the best record over the last 10 in the division, 8-2-0 coming into tonight's game. So certainly not an opponent to be overlooked. We talk about where they are in the standings. We talk about all that. They're also the only team that the Toros have not figured out how to beat this season.
Yeah, I'm kind of alluding to that a little bit. We'll get to that in a moment, but you look at some of the numbers. I mean, this Bismarck team is not a bad hockey team. They were kind of with St. Cloud a little bit in the middle to start the season, and then they've slowly risen up in terms of their play. Historically, Bismarck has gotten better as the season has gone along, and they play their best hockey moving into the months of February, March, and April. So if you're the Toros, you want to make sure that you try to find a way to solve this group.
That'll bring us to our Noodles by the numbers. Just taking a quick look. Toros and Bismarck, a couple of good offenses. Bismarck actually a couple more goals on the year than the Toros, 3.32 to 3.29, but the difference for the Toros has been keeping the puck out of the net. Not that Bismarck's been bad at 2.75, but the Toros just 2.07 goals against per game.
Yeah, and this Bismarck team, as we've seen even in the matchups against Minot, they're a little bit more comfortable with a high-scoring, high-flow type of game. The Toros a little bit more subdued into getting into those kind of defensive chess matches and outweighting their opponent. It really is 2 different styles of play that kind of mesh. As you've alluded to, Bismarck has kind of had the advantage with pushing to their pace of play a little bit more. The Toros have to find a way to slow things down and push it to maybe a more defensive style.
Special teams, Toros 19.1% on the power play. Last time these two teams met, the Toros were only at 12%, so the power play been really good of late. Bismarck's power play always good, 20.8%. Toros penalty kill still ranked second in the league, 89.4. Hopefully that'll be a big difference this weekend for the Toros.
Yeah, and you talked about a team that really didn't necessarily need the special teams advantage early on in the season. They benefited from it as of late. Anytime that you're playing well enough at 5-on-5 that the special teams supplements instead of keeping you buoyed in terms of your play, it's always a good sign the Toros have been very successful.
That'll bring us to our Toros Tribune Central Division standings. The Toros, as we alluded to, in first place, 43 points on the year, 21-6-1. Best start in franchise history. The fastest team to 15 wins, fastest team to 20 wins. Potentially here, fastest team to 25 wins. 4 in a row for the Toros coming into play here this weekend. Bismarck right on their heels, 36 points. Again, that 7-point spread. It looks big, but depending on how these 3 games go, could disappear pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the interesting piece is you go all the way down from 2nd to 5th place. You've only got 5 points separating that grouping. Austin kind of slumping going into the holiday break. Aberdeen, like you said, we thought they were dead to rights about 2 weeks before, and suddenly they've kind of reemerged and made this a 5-horse race, so to speak. So things could get very interesting depending on what goes on in the division this weekend. We could see a little bit of separation between some of the top teams, or we could see this grouping kind of mash right into each other again and make things very interesting as we move into the month of January.
Aberdeen has St. Cloud. Austin has North Iowa. Not to pick on North Iowa, but you assume Austin's going to break their 4-game losing streak with at least one of those games against North Iowa. Mm-hmm. You know, Aberdeen takes care of St. Cloud. Things can bunch up, and that's again where the Toros have a chance here with Bismarck to either pull away from the pack or get sucked right back down into it.
Yeah, and it goes back to the same adage we've been preaching all year. You can standings watch later. You got to win hockey games. The focus is tonight. Focus is on the first 60 minutes of regulation and see what happens.
That'll bring us to our Toros Tribune Live players to watch. You can watch the Toros Tribune Live on Toros socials. We'll be back with a new episode probably in a couple of weeks, but go back, check out the old episodes. Always some good stuff, some evergreen content when we talk to the players in there. So, I'm going to do a broadcast no-no. I'm going with the same player to watch for the 2nd game in a row, and it's Trevor Stahoyak. He had a goal and 3 assists so far this year against Bismarck. We had talked about it before, 2 goals, 4 assists in a big weekend against North Iowa. The big one, he's sitting on 98 career points, so could become just the 2nd Toro ever to hit triple digits this weekend with just a good showing, not even necessarily a great one with 3 games. He just has to keep doing what he's normally does, and he should be able to hit that triple digit mark.
Yeah, he's continued to evolve as we've gone over the months here. You kind of wondered maybe in the middle of like September, early October, if he was going to just be consistently all right. Well, he's been consistently good. He's continued to elevate his play since that point. And yeah, that's a number that I wouldn't feel too comfortable with if I was the only one sitting above 100 points in Toro franchise history. For me, it's going to be Pavel Funtek on the back end. He's got 23 shots in his last 12 games, 18 of those in his past 7, averaging about maybe 2 to 3 shots per game for a defenseman who I would say is largely more a defensive defenseman. For him to bring a little bit of offense into his game and be more comfortable being closer to a 200-foot defenseman and pushing the offensive pace a little bit, I think you'd like to see that open up. He's an Alaska Anchorage Seawolf commit. You'd like to see him bring that extra facet to his game. You know they're feeling comfortable with the fact that he is tall at 6'7". He's a big, rangy defenseman, but if he can add a little bit of offensive punch, that's only going to further develop his stock.
That'll bring us to our home key group keys to the game, and I'm going to kick it off with keeping it simple. 2 weeks off, again, an opponent that, you know, before the break that the Toros maybe could have gotten away with developing some bad habits. You don't want to see that creep into their game, so hopefully Toros can just keep it simple, north-south, and strike early.
I'm going to say for the Toros, find a way to get over 500. What I mean by that, this Bobcats team is the only group that they really haven't found a way to solve yet. Have a chance over the course of 3 games to maybe push that mark over 500, get back in the win column against this group. This Bobcat team remains, like I said, the last test that the Toros have not really been able to face and conquer so far this season. Be nice to do it before you flip over to the calendar year of 2024.
Yeah, you win all 3 and you're back over 500 against the Bobcats as well. And our final key to the game is special teams. Toros power play 5 for 10 on the season against these Bobcats. That's the good. The bad, Bobcats are 2 for 7 on the power play against the Toros. So obviously you've won the special teams battle, but 2 for 7 isn't great on the kill. It's only about 70%. You got to get better than that, I think, here to to get some points this weekend.
Yeah, probably was the difference in that last game on a Wednesday in late November is you have a contest where you've been offensively productive enough. When you score 5, you should win most hockey games. Unfortunately, they didn't that night.
That'll bring us to our Four Bears Casino and Lodge over-unders. Play these in the Toros Hockey mobile app on Apple or Android, and you can win a stay and play package from our friends at Four Bears Casino and Lodge. First period goals, 0.5.
Over.
Power play opportunities for the Toros, 3.5.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to say over, but it might be a tightly contested affair tonight.
And total Toros goals, 3.5. You mentioned Toros have gone over that both times they've played Bismarck.
Yeah, I would say the over for all 3, which is a rare occurrence.
And our last interactive game here in the Toros Hockey mobile app, McDonald's Toros Trivia. Who had the Toros game-winning goal in Game 3 of the Toros' first playoff sweep of the Bismarck Bobcats? Blake Lizotte, Christian Mose, Johnny Walker, or Taylor Lance?
I have no idea, but I'm going to go with Taylor Lance just because it sounds intriguing.
All right, well, that'll do it for the Farmers Union pregame show. We'll turn you over to Ben Lifto on his birthday for the starting lineups.